Welcome to the model room. My friend Dave over at Woody's Scale Model Garage posed a question the other day to the modeling community, and it was about odd kits, as he called it, or unusual kits, things you don't see every day. In addition, he was asking about kits that may have had subtle changes from one issue to the next. He wanted to know if we had any of these, and I first thought of this, which was out there in the vault, obviously a Chaparral. It's the 2C from 1965, one of my favorite cars. The Can-Am series was terrific from back around the mid-60s to the early 70s. Came back a little later, wasn't quite the same. But I really loved it. The cars were gorgeous. They had a lot of horsepower. Some of the most iconic drivers of all time, you're talking about Mark Donohue, Roger Penske, Jim Hall, Bruce McLaren, A.J. Foyt. So these were terrific cars. And in those days, that was the heyday also of slot car racing. I was a kid. There was a slot car track about a 5-minute walk from my school. So after class, we'd walk down there and race. And we all wanted to have replicas of these wonderful Can-Am cars. And the model companies obliged us, especially Cox. They were big in slot cars in that day, AMT, MPC. But they also managed to get out some glue kits that were based on those slot car kits because there was a big market then for static models. So we got some of both. This obviously is a glue kit. This is by Arri, and it is a reissue of the original kit. I think this probably came along in the late 80s, maybe early 90s. But as I said, I love Chaparrals. I thought Jim Hall was an amazing designer and racer. He was an engineer. And he did a lot of things that were kind of first in racing. You can see these air dams on the front. The front end was lifting, so he put these beards on it to help hold it down, faired in the headlights. He put some grills, air vents in the fenders to reduce air pressure in the front, keep it down. He was one of the first ones to use a spoiler in the back, but he found that was causing drag on the straights, so he created this movable spoiler, which was later outlawed, but it would reduce drag when he got on the straights, and he'd pop it up in the corners to help hold that rear end down. So here's the kit. Now, these kits are not detailed because the slot car kits were not detailed. They basically just converted them over. And here's the 2C body. It's a wonderful body, and I have one that's not in plastic. I tend not to bring them out of the plastic until I'm going to build them, but this is pretty detailed. As I said, styrene kits in those days were pretty simple. The bodies were in styrene because they hadn't graduated to the clear plastic light ones yet. Most of the time in the slot car kits, of course, they had slot car tires. You didn't get really good tires, so I think that these came along later when this kit was issued. These are pretty detailed, and I like them. Not a lot else in here. You can see that there are some chrome wheels, and that's about the only chrome piece. There's an interior tub, a fairly smooth chassis, and here are the injector stacks, and those are just in the white molded plastic. So overall, a simple kit. Of course, slot car kits were simple because you put a motor underneath, and you had to have room for the slot car chassis and the brushes and all that, and they didn't really make them any more complicated for the shelf kits. Now, here's another one that is in that same iteration. It's from LS. Came along, I believe this came along a little later. I like the box art. It's really cool box art. But inside, it is not the same. Now, here's that body out of the paper, out of the plastic. And you can see they molded in the bulges back here because they wanted to keep the rear deck as low as possible. So the tires went in under here. Here are the vents on the top and the beards on the front. All very interesting things. Some vents in the back as well. And that's nice. What's different about this kit is that it has an electric motor. Now, this really is a Japanese kit. The instructions are in Japanese. It has some English words on the box cover, but for the most part, I think this was meant for the Japanese market. And in a lot of Japanese kits, you'll see these electric motors, and I guess they wanted the kids to just run these along the floor. The problem with this is, if you can see these tires, these are extremely simple tires. They're very thin. There's not much to them. They're almost two-dimensional. So certainly you wouldn't use that if you were building up a glue kit. Now, here are the wheels that go with that. And again, they're very two-dimensional. They're flat. There's no detail on them at all. Everything here is in gray plastic, and that includes the injector stacks. If you can see right here, there's no chrome in this kit. It does have the interior tub. These are molded in black and a very simple chassis. So that's the iteration on this kit. When I was out there in the stash, I picked up a couple other kits that I had forgotten I had. And look, I like these Can-Am cars. So here's one that has a really terrible box, and it's beat up and just awful. But I realized that, for one thing, this is the McLaren Elva. You're not going to find this very often. It's a terrific looking racer, and I wanted to have a representation of Bruce McLaren's stuff. He was a wonderful designer. He was an engineer too. And this particular car is the customer car. McLaren had his own team, was very successful, but he also wanted to sell cars to customers. So he paired up with Elva to manufacture the cars and put them out for sale, and sold quite a few of them. A couple things on this kit. I mean, this is a terrific body. Again, it's in styrene. It's molded in real nice. It's got this spare tire. A lot of them had spare tires. I think that may have been part of the rules back in the day. They pretty much all have two seats. The second seat, the passenger seat, was just a shell. It was just a semblance of a seat, but I think that was part of the rules as well. You can see here that they didn't put slot car tires in this, and they just molded in a plastic tire. And Dave, I know that you hate plastic tires, but frankly, this one's not so bad. It's got pretty good engraving. It is a slick. It's supposed to be, but it's engraved on the sidewalls on both sides. And I think it would paint up pretty nicely. You know, nowadays you have rubber black paint from Tamiya, and also from Mig Jimenez. His company is Ammo. And it makes a pretty good representation of a rubber tire. The chassis just has an indication of an engine on here. There's no engine in the kit because there wasn't any in the slot car. This is an interesting thing. In a lot of slot cars, just about all of them, they had this little interior card. Even though there's a tub, this went over it to make it look like there was a driver, because it was driving around on the slot car track. Arms and a neck. Here's the head and helmet. What else is here? I guess these are headlight covers. There is a chrome fret here. It's got pretty decent wheels. They're not too bad. The injector stacks are chrome. Headlights are chrome. This thing here, I think this is some kind of a tool that was used to put the tires onto the axle on the slot car. It just, remained on the fret when it went into glue kit production. I think that's about it. There is obviously glass in here. But overall, that's about it. But it's not terribly detailed. Would build up, I think, into a nice looking shelf model. One other thing when I was out there that I picked up is this, and this is real interesting. This is a Hussein. I don't know if you know about them. It was created by John Meekum. He imported a Cooper Monaco into his shop in Texas and created this Can-Am race car. He was an engineer as well. And this is a gorgeous car. I mean, this car is really beautiful in real life. It's got a terrific color, and it was an interesting racer. Now, here's the body, and you can see it's got the vents in the fenders, also in the back under the spoiler. I think that the spare tire goes here. But just a lovely body. I really liked it. Meekum got A.J. Foyt to drive his race car. This thing only ran, a dozen times. I think the best finish was a second to Roger Penske in a Chaparral. But as I said, it was a wonderful looking car. Again, here in the kit, there are the, interior card here with the driver's head and all that. Here's the light covers. This is the chassis. Again, an indication of an engine. That's all you get. Here's the interior tub, 2 seats, plastic tires. There's a fret here, 2 chrome frets here. Pretty decent wheels. Pretty decent wheels. And a little engine cover there, which is fine. Here's the steering wheel that got caught on there. And again, it's got this little wrench or something, I guess, for putting the wheels on. I don't really recall. But that's it. These are the 4 that I pulled out. I think that these are the ones that are the most unusual. You can see a little progression from one Chaparral kit to another as it changes for the market. Overall, I do want to get to these and build them up someday. Maybe one of these days, some model contest or NNL will have a Can-Am racer theme, and I'll build them up. In the meantime, that's what I have for today. Thank you for watching. I appreciate everyone, especially my subscribers, and we'll see you next time.